this day, the day of the mirror. Of course, welcome to the channel. For those who do not know, this is your first time, we have a series, the day of, and then we take a prompt, take it apart, put it back together, top off on our mind fuel, and have some creative inspiration for our tabletop role playing uh, activities. And while we're doing our world building, of course, sometimes we have to be by ourselves, take a deep breath, get our favorite drink or food, and pen, paper, Google Doc, whatever the case may be. So take the opportunity to get that. We'll be right back. Again, welcome creatives, community, and kind folks to the channel, RPG with DBJ. Of course, I'm your host, DBJ. Today, while I did have some idea about which direction we can take this, and just happened to looking at the chat and such, it did make me think that I'm probably going to have to throw out my ideas and get some from you guys. Simply because on this day, the day of the mirror, it can mean so many more things in the latest 3 minutes or so than what I had originally thought. Now, in fantasy gaming, and primarily that's what we talk about when it comes to fantasy. Uh, the magic mirror, the mirror on the wall, the the mirror that becomes the trap. If someone were to ever look at it, is a very common type of trope, a very common object, trap, hazard, um, uniqueism, and also it's really cool to do these kind of things because it reflects back on the player characters. They go into a ancient tomb or an abandoned castle, remove the tapestry filled with dust and moths from the mirror. They look into it, and then what steps out of the mirror, or a duplicate of themselves, or get drawn into the mirror and drawn into a different world. We have a number of rules and things that we can play with that as well. But there is another aspect of the mirror that we could use on the day of the mirror. Now, this day could be on a calendar. You know, people expect this to come about, and this might be very mundane. It could be a mirror casts a reflection, and it could be reflecting on our past activities, adventures, behaviors, guilts and failures, along with successes and triumphs. And it could be a downtime activity where the population kind of reflects on the things that they've done. Of course, you can have plenty of uh, physicality about it. The PCs come into the city state, and there are mirrors or reflective surfaces hung everywhere. There are individuals walking around with mirrors in their hand, holding them up to passersby, strangers, or something. This could be a bit of a religious event where a specific caste or faction has these mirrors and hold them up to everyone. But if we want to get a lot more fantastical, the idea that on this day, um, it is I would dare say like a transition or a challenge where the most important or active or bravest or what have you must look into the mirror, and then what comes out of it, who knows what may come out of it. um, it could be that the player characters are tasked with looking into the mirror and defeating whatever it is that comes out on the other side, or they look into the mirror and they are trapped inside of it, but an exact duplicate of themselves steps out of the mirror and starts living their lives, at least for the day, as the players try to navigate the internalities of this dark reflection of their world, and they try to escape. It may also be the origins of a lot of our mimicky doppelganger taking on the persona kind of thing, where the players look into an ancient mirror, and the game starts out with individuals that exist in the world that are their exact duplicates. And this is a bit of a cheat, but also a wake up call for players that feel like they're the baddest badasses in the world, is to basically take a copy of all the player characters' character sheets and kind of reskin them and use them against the player characters as like a rival adventuring group. You know, change the gender, change the heights and weights, change their appearances, but keep the stats all the same. And sometimes the player characters, when you start using their own characters against them, it can get a little bit tense. So while it is good to do that, it may not be. Drew says in Germany there is the medieval figure of I'm going to butcher it, Till Ellenspiegel, the last name literally meaning owl mirror. Okay. Who was a jester that presented the nobles with a reflection of their deeds. Now, I kind of like the idea, because I know this is kind of in your wheelhouse, Drew, about the more uh, emotional, dramatic, the figurative elements of the mirror. And how cool would it be for even the goodly people to have a mirror put up to them, like maybe there's a faction like the jesters. It tends to be that entertainers, jesters included, tend to step outside of of the the social strata, right? Because the jester and the entertainers had the permission to um, be honest with their perceptions of the world, even if it meant that you were harming the the nobility when it came to portraying them. And in some ways it was the ability, even if the nobility was a little bit you know, they didn't lead too well, if they could laugh at themselves or at least present the ugly side of themselves to the public, sometimes people would go, oh, okay, they kind of give them a pass for a little while. And this may be the case. And maybe the player characters, maybe the mirror must be held up so the player characters can confront some of the deeper and darker secrets, especially if you have the air quotes, the goodly land. And there's always, in fantasy, there's always the good land and the evil hordes. And what if the goodly people became the goodly people, but they did very dark things, or they're doing dark things to keep themselves in power, like sacrificing children, or you know, um, um, uh, imprisoning and torturing political dissidents in this so-called lawful and or good society or something. It could also be, again, it's a bit deep, but if the player characters can hold the mirror up to themselves and reveal to a potential ally or NPC or something their own actions seen from a neutral party, and maybe the player characters look back at what they've done and they're like, "Ooh, we were murder hobo-ish till we got to about seventh level, weren't we?" Yeah, yeah. Like the End King says, the Day of the Mirror sounds like a lot to reflect on. You know. Also, again, the mirror itself, whether it's magical or something like that, could be it could a doppelganger doesn't need to be specifically a gray skinned individual that changes their shape. It could be that the whatever steps out of the mirror is a reflection or even a dark reflection of who or whatever looks into the mirror. And maybe there's a giant mirror that the nobles have and the population walks up to it, and if nothing happens they're like, woo, I just saw myself, great. But then somebody else walks up and you know, some lowly stable hand or something, and a demon walks out, and everyone's like, "So that was inside you. That's a little bit dangerous." And the demon shrugs her shoulders, like, "Well, whatever. You know, you take what you can get." you know. Um, Also, on the day of the mirror, maybe as opposed to having mirrors everywhere and pots and pans and things, shine with a so that you could see a kind of a strange reflective image in it. Maybe it's the opposite, and everyone has these images covered. You're not supposed to look at your reflection in a pond or a pail of water. You're not supposed to take the tapestry off of the mirror in the hallway of the noble castle or something like that, because if you did, who knows what might reflect. And it could be a little bit of embarrassment too. We all have our dark side. We've all done things that we kind of aren't particularly proud of, or we've all had thoughts. Even we've had thousands of more thoughts than actions that we may not have been very proud of, but pretty interesting if it did step out. Maybe the player characters have the ability to see the the dark reflections, but no one else can. Like, so the stable hand that has the demon inside of them, maybe they look in the mirror and everyone else just sees them looking in the mirror and they cry and they walk off. But the player characters see it, and in the reflection, there's a demon trying to scrape its way out or something, and the PCs are like, "Oh shit, we better follow that kid," right? Whereas everyone else is like, "Oh, he's come to terms with himself. Well, that good for him. Good, yeah." And it doesn't necessarily need to be a dark reflection. It could be, I mean, a player character that's a bit devious, kind of a seedy, has bad habits. Maybe their reflection comes out and they're just like all nice and kind and such. And we've seen this in media where a um, where a our main character gets to see the reflection of themselves in the eyes of the population, and sometimes we get to see the opposite reflection of themselves. you know um the first thing that comes to mind is a movie called Summersby, where um a con man comes into town, and the con man tries to come into town because he just so happens to look exactly like a person that used to live in the town, but he ends up being a nice guy, and everyone in town is like, "You don't seem like the same person that left." And this is like, I don't know, like I want to say it was Civil War era or something in the States, and then he ends up going home to his wife, and his wife is like, "Oh, I know you're not the same person. You look like him, but you don't act like him," because he was pretty abusive to everyone. And then come to find out that he was accused of a crime, and it's like he could tell the truth and not be this person, or redeem himself from wanting to lie and cheat and steal, and go, "Yeah, I helped out this community, and I am this Summersby person who must be put to death," which is kind of a dark kind of reflection. But yeah, the End King says discussions about dark reflections always makes me think of Peter Pan's shadow. Ooh, yeah. I mean, who's to say something? Someone looks in a mirror and maybe they do have a shadow that follows them for the day, that reflects what their intentions are. So maybe the person's like, "I want to steal, but I'm not going to," but the shadow does it for them, whether they like it or not. Yeah. Juden Fuzz says you can combine the two ideas of getting caught in the mirror and a dark reflection coming out, so that whoever looks into the mirror gets replaced by their evil mirror twin. Now, I would say it would be kind of fun to have the evil PC get replaced by a good guy, and then starts like leading a better life than the player character ever could. Or maybe uh, and this, mind you, this would have to have very mature players, but let's say there's a player character who's like, "Oh, I have an unrequited love with someone that I've never professed my attraction to," but then they get shoved into the mirror, and the PC duplicate comes out and starts performing all the activities that they wish they could have, but they didn't have strength to, or the courage or something like that. Or someone, maybe their dark reflection starts undoing all of their good works. You know, not even like physical, like murder, killing, or anything, but starts offending NPCs that they've had really good relationships with, starts spending all their money that they've been saving up, and the PC is like banging against the glass of the mirror, like, let me out, you mofo. Yes, yeah, Drew, I'm very much into it. And like I said, we could we can very easily find mechanical methods to duplicate what it is that we want. So if something comes out of the mirror, maybe it is a doppelganger, or maybe it is the exact stats of the PC, or maybe they are, what's some other shape-shifting things out there other than mimics and doppelgangers? Um, Silver dragons and hags and rakshasas, and there's a bunch of other things that can take the place of player characters. And how interesting would it be for the dark reflection to start committing crimes or offending people, and everyone's like looking around like, which one's the real one? I don't know. The Ant King says, if you're in a medieval setting, the concept of reflections might be synonymous with bodies of water. Like in The Ring, Sadako's specific ghost type historically crawled out of bodies of water. And yes, so reflections, again, I did mention, like, it doesn't have to be a mirror. It could be just a reflective surface, like a lake, a pond, a city fountain, um, bronze, copper, brass plates or shields, or reflections in a weapon, a blade that is so highly reflective that it reflects other things that the PCs, like, could you imagine the player characters are on in a battle or conflict, and they just so happen to see their reflection in their own blade, or the enemy is reflected in their blade on this day, and suddenly now there's two of them, and the PC's like, damn it, I gotta put my sword away, otherwise every time I strike down one, two more appear, or something like that. I don't know. Drew says, damned, I have used dark reflection. I meant to say pale reflection. Okay. Still trying to change the notion that darkness is something bad. Ooh. Ooh, that's true too. Um, for example, this day could be a day of not atonement. I'm thinking of the process of releasing the things inside of you, and it being a good thing to release that thing that is inside of you. So, for example, um, the stable hand that has a dark reflection of a demon, maybe the population is like, good for you. All the jealousies and evils and things inside of you that you imagined that you were being wrong, or you were wronging other people, right? Because the stable hand may not be evil at all. Maybe it's your own internal guilt. Like, um, the noble knight might have the worst reflection because they feel such guilt for not maybe protecting the population they wanted, or keeping a secret, dark secret or something. It goes in a mirror, and the person goes, whew, okay, I got rid of it. And then there's an evil, someone wants to use that for their benefit. So it's not just the stable hand. It's not just a demon in the mirror of the stable hand. The demon knows all the stable hand's secrets. And maybe the nobility, who are trying to maintain a stiff upper lip, they're trying to maintain um, a sense of justice and honor and such, and they do this periodically to get those uh, where power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Maybe they're trying to circumvent it by getting it out of themselves into the mirrors, but there's somebody who wants to use the mirrors and can even speak, the mirror on the wall idea. They could speak to the demon in the mirror and like, what secrets does the stable hand hold? And it's like, well, the stable hand saw using stealing from Game of Thrones, right? The stable hand saw the brother and sister twins making out together, incest. Ooh. And then someone's like, thank you so much. And then the demon's like, we had a deal. You're going to let me out of this mirror? And it's like, oh no, not yet. Right? And the demon's like, oh, wait till your reflection's up in here. We're going to deal with you later on. Also, maybe whatever is reflected into the mirror, just like, okay, so the the stable hand looks back in the mirror and the demon goes in, like possesses the young teenage, stable boy or something. But then they go into the mirror and they're like, I didn't want to be a demon, I'm so sorry, you know. And then the demon's like, oh yeah, I'm just a teenage kid, I'm gonna do some damage now. Who knows. Also, again, going back to our classic traps and maneuvers or something, maybe there is again, a challenge type of arena, maybe where you have to go through a house of mirrors, and just like the classic, carnival style house of mirrors where the mirrors are warped and twisted and reflected, maybe the same thing is possible here, where our player characters just think, oh, it's just some innocuous fun thing, a couple of copper pieces, and we go to the carnival. But the twisted reflections bring about twisted reflections of uh, the individuals that look upon these kind of things. Maybe on the day of mirrors, there is a faction that has these magical mirrors, and they ask people to step up, and everyone knows that, like, you might not want to see the thing that gets reflected in it, but they want to see it as well. Like, it could be the origin of a lot of the monstrosities, and why those monstrosities have a connection to the population. That why is the place haunted by shadows and spirits and demons and giants and stuff? Well, it's because they're kind of connected together, right? They are their they are the children of the reflected. And today's the day. Maybe we could actually put some of these people to rest, right? Get your dark reflections back into the mirror. Like, the day of the mirror might be the day that it's not looking in the mirror and creating something. It's the we just stick the giant flame snake back into it because it came out of somebody's soul. Yeah. Juden says, has anyone seen here the Disney show The Owl House? I have not. There was an entity imprisoned in a mirror world, and one of the protagonists had a talisman which made them invisible to that entity. That may also be a kind of a cool thing too, right? Like, why not just have a dungeon in a mirror? And that dungeon could be a twisted reflection. I'm not going to use the word dark. Twisted reflection of the player character's experiences or where they're at or something of that nature. And when they exit the mirror, like maybe other NPCs that have, yeah, that zero level NPC, no wonder they're at eighth level equivalent CR8 knight or something like that. They went into the mirror and had an adventure and came back out just moments later, and they aged 15 years or something or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it could be something of that nature. The Day of Mirrors could be a type of, or reskinning, reflavoring of magic itself. Um, we kind of saw a silliness of this, which was kind of fun in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, where they have these portals, and you have two portals, and you have to step through one portal, get to the other one. Maybe there are like magic mirrors, or someone enchants a mirror so that it can be magic, and that's how they teleport, dimension door, misty step, some kind of enemy or faction or wizard, and they visit the nobility, and they sneak into the bedroom and they enchant the mirror there. Then they go back home to their wizard's tower and use the opposite mirror, and then they can like step through, kind of like a portal nexus, but you have to enchant the mirror in the first place. He opposite day. Yeah, that's true too. I like the idea of the opposite day. Yeah, the day of the mirror is opposite day. Maybe every player has the opportunity to play the opposite of what their character is like. Um, destructive, uh, very destructive druids. The noble knight that's like a liar and a cheat and a thief, torturous or something. The I don't know, sneaky rogue or something is like uh can't lie or whatever. I don't know. You could come up with some pretty fun things. Also, maybe on the Day of the Mirror, the opposite day, maybe the antagonists become protagonists. So even though we think that they're going to do evil on this day, they actually don't. They're actually out here doing the opposite. And it would be kind of funny that the players are the only ones that notice it, but no one else does, even though it's happening. They're the only ones that are like, I don't understand what you mean. They're like, yeah, but you're from the nine hells. Why are you helping me? I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it. I don't understand. Damage spells heal. Healing causes damage. Yeah. And yeah, it could be. Yeah, ow. I like that idea, but ooh, how complicated. Go ahead and cast that fireball because I'm gonna get a little bit chilly when it explodes. Yeah. The End King says, an idea. You go into a dungeon or a house, etc. Okay. On one of the walls is a mirror, and so the map of this house, every hallway leads to nowhere, but the opposite way leads to progress. Perhaps the walls need to be destroyed, or maybe they are illusory. Ooh, that would be. Yeah. um. Oh, there's a. I know I'm butchering this. Questing Beast had displayed an adventure that he really liked. Milton. Um, where okay, so riddle me this. Follow me this on this idea. Okay, PCs go into an empty room except for a mirror on the wall. The mirror shows the physical objects that are in the room, and they can't touch the things in the room unless they go into the mirror. But if they go in the mirror, they're separated from the party, and so if you're on one side of the mirror, there may be nothing there. You go to the other side of the mirror, there's something there, or it could be vice versa, right? Like in one room, there are gnolls, and if you go into the mirror, it's two frost giants or something. But they can't cross paths. But the PCs can see themselves in one mirror, but not in the other. That it would be. You could have some fun. You have a lot of fun with this, where the PCs maybe have to. They see the reflection of themselves, and they have to battle, but they're standing in a room and there's nothing there. But they can feel themselves getting harmed, and so they have to figure out how to like look in the mirror to defend themselves or something. I don't know. Yeah, some kind of devils making deals with angels. And Keith says, "Sorry, we only have 200 characters per post. You're fine. I get why you have to kind of I don't call. I guess it would be called spamming or something. What if you create a situation where the antagonists on the opposite day have to do good deeds against their own will by contract or some desperate situation forced to do good? Hmm. Maybe this is the only day the ones who can take advantage of this realize that this is the only day they get to take advantage of the situation by getting their enemies that want to destroy them on the other side of the nation. Like this is the only day we can get a treaty going because it's the opposite day, and the people on the opposite side of like signing a treaty are like, damn it, you got me today. Wait till next year, right? I seen that video from Questing Beast was indeed an interesting dungeon, and I say that even though I usually do not like dungeons, right? And I listen, we're just using the word dungeon as a, dungeons are limited region. Sorry, my lighting here is pretty horrible now. One of my lights went out. So a dungeon, it just happens to be like in a horror movie. It is a location with limited mobility, um, and limited choices. So a dungeon could be a house. It could be a small town with maybe 5 buildings. It could be a abandoned ship. It could abandoned ship, sunken ship, a ship just pulled into dock. It could be a tower or a farmhouse or something like that. A place, and I love exploration. A dungeon could actually be the wilderness. It just happens to be a valley or a cave, a shallow cave system, or I don't know, an oasis somewhere or something like that. Rickard, hey, what's up? Mirror reflects one thing or another. Pick one aspect and have it reflected one way or another. such as personality, time, souls, desires, secrets. A connected mirror and portals, the options are endless. Absolutely. The day of the mirror could be, maybe it's the only way to navigate through um, a liminal space, right? I think you guys have heard of liminal spaces. So, in other words, this is strange. Um, the mirror, people look in the mirror, and then their thoughts, desires, like Rickard is saying, time or whatever secrets are reflected in the mirror, and now the players must go into the mirror to, air quotes, navigate the dungeon of the reflection of the person that looked into it, to get a thing to come back out with the MacGuffin. MacGuffins are purses, places, and things, and maybe even ideals, secrets, and such. And then they leave the mirror. So each mirror itself could be its own, air quotes, micro dungeon of like a dreamscape, or I mean, it could be anything. It could be you could make it as a physical location. It could be one where they have to parlay with the dark secrets of the person that was reflected in it, even though the nobility that looked into the mirror are all pretty good people. What's in the mirror might not be. Um, Again, the farm boy that reflects a demon, a dangerous demon in a mirror, it could just be guilt, right? Oh, I took my aunt's savings and I gambled it away or something, or I went to buy a gift for my girlfriend, but what, and the kid thinks they're so wrong and evil, so there's a demon inside, and the PCs are like, okay, we're gonna have to go in here and like get rid of this thing, because the kid feels so bad about what they've done. The Yen King says, in a romance game, a dungeon could be a partner's emotional state that you have to navigate. Exactly, right? Like it could be, the physical embodiment of it, or maybe it's just, maybe the player characters are just given. It's like you're not going to be able to hack your way through this. You're not going to be able to murder kill. Maybe it's this is how the people think about you as player characters, and they have to repair the damage that they've done because they've been out murder killing or something. Yeah, Rickard says, example for world building, like for world building of deeds, a mirror of judgment. It reflects your deeds back onto you. You stand judgment. They can make you face the mirror, so your deeds, innocent or guilty, back on you. Hell yeah! Like we have a classic spell. It's like a circle of truth, but there could be some other. This day of the mirror could be where there's a mirror they bring out. They only bring it out on this particular day, and I don't know how to explain it. Not necessarily criminals, but there may be people who are, the population demands individuals of authority or rank or power or influence must stand before the mirror, so that their deeds, their desires, their actions, and for whatever manner, are reflected in the mirror for everyone else to see, or react to, or something. And mind you, this doesn't necessarily need to be a good thing, but it could be tradition. Someone reflects their dark deeds and it becomes a monster inside. Everyone gets together to help slay the monster, but there's no judgment on the person. It's like it's an atonement feature. It is I've done wrong. Hey, reflect my whatever is inside me needs to be reflected in the mirror to let it go. And everyone goes, yep, sure did. You needed to have this exercised out of you. Time to go kill it. Hey, everybody, stand before the mirror and jump on inside, and hopefully you'll come back out. Also, what if there's just an evil faction that's like, yeah, we're going to take over. We're going to body snatch, and they have a house of mirrors with people pounding against the glass because they've been body snatched, and out in the world are um, the the living echoes of the people trapped inside. That's a pretty good adventure hook, where the PCs are like, old grandma that used to make the great muffins or something, they don't taste as good anymore. And she's kind of rude to us now, right? And then come to find out that she's been replaced and kidnapped. The PCs are like, oh no, you took our grandmother and kidnapped her. Die, you mofos, right? You can have some fun with that. Rickard goes on to say, all portals, add portals, and now you get the victim's experience reflected on you as you get sucked into the mirror where you have to survive the victim's experience as a dungeon. Yeah, yeah. And mind you, dungeon doesn't have to be a subterranean realm. It could be debris floating, the memories of their debris floating around in a ether space as the PCs jump from one island of guilt to another island of depression or something like that, as they fight off the demons inside of the person's mind or what have you. It's like someone's like, I have a gambling addiction. I hate that I have it. And it becomes like it's like a hydra. Every time they cut off one head, there's another head that grows, and the PCs are like, oh, this is how they feel. um, I've seen artwork that was related to real psychological states. It's been a while since I've seen that art. But anyway, yeah. Drew says, my inside on the mirror? I honestly don't want to see my intestines revealed there. Reflecting of your, it's reflecting my insides. As someone sees their actual pulse and digestive system. No, but also what interesting, maybe, so his mythologically, I was about to say historically, no, mythologically, like I'm thinking of a sphinx where there are these beings that we as humanity beseech, and we want to gain knowledge and experience, and or even figure out how to ascend ourselves, and these mysterious things ask of us a thing. Maybe on the day of mirrors there is a unique special type of arcane monster, beast, being, race of beings that live inside the mirrors. They are reflections. They are nothing themselves. They're just reflections of us. And we want to know a great bit of knowledge, but they're in return, they're like, we're going to walk upon, at least for 24 hours. Doesn't have to be 24, but at least for us to be released out of this mirror world, you have to give of us something for us to give you something back. And that means that, we get to live, or we get to live in your shoes, at least for the day, till the end of the day. And you don't know what they've done, but they get to live. There may be people who have ascended to this other world on the other side of the mirror, and they've left behind the body snatched person, and the person on this side is like, please don't tell the secret. We're just innocent people. We just don't want to live on that side. We just want to explore your world as you explore ours. Thanks there, Rickard. Yeah. Way on the other side of the pond. I appreciate it, you guys. I keep wanting to do a shout out for everyone, from where you're at and what you're doing and things like that. What are some other aspects of reflection and mirror? It's also possible for this to be a good thing. So, and this is giving me reflections of the questions and problems with transhumanity, post-humanism, and that is, maybe the mirror is how someone is reflected in it, so that they have, it's a form of immortality, right? You look in a mirror, and then a duplicate of yourself now exists in the world. And then if the PC dies, they can take over their exact duplicate who's doing some other things. Star Trek, The Next Generation, where Riker, there's a storm and he gets beamed up, but the all they did was create a duplicate pattern in the transporter system. So they think they beamed him up, but he is actually left on the planet, and he becomes a darker version of himself, and he goes on to live his own life. And then come to find out, well, we can't kill him, and they're both real, so they're both existent in the world and are citizens, but one is like basically a twin of the other, and they go on about their separate lives. And it could be that the player characters, what if, what if on the day of the mirror they find out that there was a previous day of the mirror that they didn't know about, and that in the world there are people who are just like them living their own lives, and at a certain point in life they're going to have to confront the people, like they made different decisions, and there could be some jealousy in there, or um, they ended up, their duplicates end up doing things that they're glad they never made that decision, but their duplicates made the decisions that they normally wouldn't have made, and how their lives would then have turned out. Or maybe they meet their own twin, and their twin is like, you have to finish what I started, and their twin dies, and they're like, where did your twin come from? And they're like, oh shoot, we did look in those mirrors, didn't we? Yep. Drew says, was there not in the Boy Wizard franchise, which sounds not to be named, a mirror that reveals what people desire? Is is there a way to look this up? Let me see if I can find something related to that. Mm. I'm getting I'm getting mirror image spells. Um, do mirror images dodge with you? With a feat that allows a mirror image spell to be cast. Now, it could also be. This is also bringing up an idea. I can't find it there, Drew. It could also be the mirror, the day of the mirror. This day of series is an idea for us to really change up what's going on in our world, and it could be that specifically created, uh, uh, specifically designed, created mirrors now have enchantments that are BBEG, our adversaries get to use, and it complicates the interactions they have, especially on the battlefield. So an example would be that the local gnolls ended up stealing this mirror on this particular day. They realized that when they take the tapestry off the mirror, that the Gnoll chieftain now has the mirror image spell, or the Gnoll chieftain looks into the mirror and creates 2d6 versions of themselves or something like that. Marco says, Day of the Mirror, when everyone repeats what other people say in an annoying tone. Truly nightmare. We already have that. It's called the internet. Yeah. Yeah. Day of the Mirror, where we're all in our own echo chambers. No, but yeah, it could be something like that. Maybe there's an enemy that looks away from the mirror and shows it to the PCs, and stepping out of the mirror is an enemy that the PC has to fight, which is a duplicate of themselves, to see who will truly, like what's the card? There's a card in the uh, deck of many things that does that, and you have to do battle with yourself. Uh, there, it could be that the mirrors are, of course, a transport system. Just happens to be a magical transport system for that was left behind by the Council of Seven Wizards, and they created this system that on the day of the mirror, someone either activates, or it's the only day that it works, or someone realizes that it actually does exist, or maybe it's a way for um, it's a hidden transport system that comes about every year. That this is how the nobles are able to like be totalitarian and yet escape, and to do this all over again or something. It could be that the classic mirror on the wall, something does come back at answer them on the other side of the mirror, that's like feeding their ego or something like that, and it could be a big bad, and the PCs are like, well, we'll just shatter the mirror, and the evil entity on the side just starts laughing like, you don't get it, I'm in every reflection. And they're like, ooh, maybe we, ooh. we can't just defeat. How are we going to get into the mirror, get the thing out of the mirror? Um, Again, it could be like it could be the equivalent of a portable whole bag of holding kind of thing, where the PCs are like, why is everyone carrying around these mirrors? And they're holding the mirrors up to reflect something that's in the world to get the thing. How do I explain? Like, it's like Pokemon Go. People are walking around with mirrors to find a thing that's reflected in a mirror, but it's not reflected in our world. And so, much like vampires not seeing their reflection, there could be some way to maybe avoid a bad guy by jumping into a mirror because the mirror doesn't reflect them, travel through the mirror of the duplicate world and come back out in a mirror on the other side. But I do agree with Desune. Like, yeah, if everyone repeats what other people say in an annoying tone. Shy Squad says, on the day of the mirror, the veil of reality are lifted and you discover that the machine elves are all around us always. Yeah, maybe it does reflect how the world is built in a weird modronic um goblin uh, uh um what are they called? Um Not goblins. The fey creatures that screw up everything. Maybe there's like gnomes or something that's behind the scenes moving things around, and it's the only time you can see them. And they're like, "Oops, you weren't supposed to see." Daily Mirror is a DMT trip. Mm-mm-mm. There's it may also be that the day of the mirror, and it may not be, like I said, it doesn't have to be a glass mirror. It could just be a reflection of sorts. For example, maybe there is a faction that is has been like we always have to have a cult of some sort that doesn't have very many connections to the population. So maybe these hooded people who seem to be pretty nice, you have to sit before them, and all they are is a medium, a conduit as a reflection. So maybe on the day of the mirror, it's less looking into a glass pane, but more looking into the eyes of these individuals who've given up themselves, their own identity, and they take on the reflections of the people that look into them, or something like that. By the way, the Ayahuasca. By the way, the machine elves are our friends. They guide us in our subconscious. Ouch. Could you imagine like going to sleep with a mirror next to you? And of course, there's nothing in your room, but when you look in the mirror, there's all these like there's all these micro beings walking around you, like getting you prepared for bed. It's like, you mean when I sleep, they're all walking over me? Ah, no, make it stop. Like little micro spider. And of course, you don't feel anything, but psychologically, you're just like, get them off of me, make it stop. And every all the things in the mirror are looking around like, ooh, they can see us. Ooh, run for it. Run under the bed with the boogeyman. And the boogeyman's down there like, you weren't supposed to see this. I was just hanging out here chilling. Head on the pillow, all made of boogers. I don't know. I always thought the boogeyman was made out of boogers. Those are the ones who make your underpants disappear. I thought I was dressed before I went to bed. Now I'm bucket naked. Bucket naked. Anyway, and convert them into profits. Uh, maybe I should open a OnlyFans site and start selling dirty underwear on it or something like that. I don't know. There's a way to. That was a hard segue into darkness. Anyway, um, um, it could also be that on the day of the mirror, that there are maybe the population is scrambling around The underpants gnomes, is that where they take all like the socks and lost keys and what's the other stuff that we tend to lose? Um, like that extra fork or something like that. You're supposed to have like 4 forks and there's only 3 left. Underpants gnomes. Let's see if we can find some underpants gnomes. There we go. Get some underpants gnomes. Phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 2, no idea. Phase 3, profit. Yeah. That's pretty hilarious. I love it. Underpants gnomes. Yeah, yeah. um, yeah, there may be all kinds of things happening in mirrors that we were maybe not supposed to meant to see. This is what lies on the other side of the mirror. You have to say it in like a dark, like a Twilight Zone-ish warning. Beware. Keep track of all your underpants. Um, yes, there might be. It could be that there's fake creatures that live on the other side of the mirror, and the PCs need to step through to solve a situation. Something is left in the mirror, or it could be an event. Maybe small little handheld mirrors are capturing the secrets of those in power, or criminals, or whoever. And if you have the mirror, you can look in the mirror and see what was reflected in it, maybe a past event or a conversation or something. And that could be the MacGuffin of the story. PCs need to recover it. PCs find a mirror that has a secret in it and they're trying to keep it away from someone else. PCs have a secret in the mirror, but they don't understand the ramifications of it. It's like they hear a conversation, but they have no context to it. But someone else does, and now they're trying to scramble around to find it, to collect it or find it or something like that. Yeah, I've got a circle light, and it's come on. What else? There could be some other events that have to do with the mirror. Maybe um, uh, again, not just a faction of wizards, but maybe there are an ancient race, there's a people that you want to reskin and give them some sort of like arcane ability hasn't been seen before. So maybe you're trying to create like the home world of the doppelgangers, and how they get here and invade our world is to trap the 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 gray skinned, somewhat plasticized images. They're aliens. They live on one side of the mirror. Someone looks into it, and then shoop, they replace their bodies. And then the doppelgangers on this side, and they're like, "Yeah, I've got freedom, and I can walk around this world and steal the resources that I need." The person's on the other side of the mirror and is begging for help. Um, the player characters may have to weigh whether they should destroy a mirror or not, especially if it is a portal to step from one mirror to another. And it could be they step through and then destroy it so they can't be chased, but now they can't go back the way they came. Drew says a mirror can also be a weapon, like against gaze attacks to reflect them. Thinking of Medusa here. Oh, absolutely. Medusas, basilisks. There could be some other mirror. Um, I'm trying to think of. There's some other monsters that have like a gaze attack. The Catoblipus, I Catoplebus. I fucking butchering the name of that monster. But anyway, but you get the point. Like there might be some other gaze ability. Maybe Catoblibus, Catoplebus, Catoblipus. I'm improperly. I am improperly placing the incorrect emphasis on the improper syllable. But the Bodak is the best gaze monster. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Yeah, isn't shattering a mirror not something that causes bad luck? I think it is causing bad luck. Um, um, breaking mirror. Let's see if what it has to say about this. How did the superstition that broken mirrors cause bad luck? It's between 2,000 and 2,700 years old. Breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. Oh, two-way mirrors. Ooh, I didn't think about two-way mirrors. Breaking a mirror, breaking a mirror will give you 7 years of bad luck. We all know this, but what can you do about it? I have 7 fast techniques that can save your soul. Keep in mind, these should be used as quickly as possible before your luck runs out. I'm on a site called twowaymirrors.com. The reflection in a mirror represents not just one's physical appearance, but also one's soul. Throw salt over your left shoulder. Spin in circles 3 times. Grind the mirror into a fine powder. Reuse the broken mirror. Toss the broken mirror into a south running stream. Blacken the mirror with fire. Touch a tombstone with one glass shard, or bonus tip, bury the glass. I'm glad there's someone here who privacy and smart mirror products. Very funny. According to throw salt over your left shoulder as soon as possible. It's said that you're throwing the salt straight into the devil who lurks there. According to Morton Salt, the French throw a little behind them to hit him in the eyeball. This will buy you some time to get away. In fact, in the United States, many people may even crawl under the table after throwing the salt to further remove themselves from the bad juju. Broken mirrors, way mirrors, yeah. Funny, funny. Mm-mm-mm. I wonder if. Okay, so why would you think players would want to break a mirror? Because they're players, especially if it helps. Especially if it either traps something in it, like the opening scene of uh, Constantine, that was the Keanu Reeves movie Constantine, where he does an exorcism to get a demon out of a young girl. The demon is excised and gets thrown into a mirror because they hold the mirror over the girl, and then the mirror is then very quickly ejected out into the sun. And I think it shatters on the ground or something like that. So it's possible that the mirror itself could be the MacGuffin that helps the players solve a situation. Uh, Big, bad, terrible things are running around, and the mirror becomes the air quotes the gaze that they need to get the bad guys to look into to go. No, you caught me. You know, Shai says, "On the day of the mirror, you are suddenly imbued with the Medusa's gaze power. Yeah, so you go to comb your hair and instantly stone yourself. Everybody must get stoned." 7 years of disadvantage on all rolls for 7 years. Bad luck. Oh my god. Oh, that would be pretty funny. You got to take the mirror to like a glass blower or something to get them, or use the glass shards into a broken mirror mosaic that does maybe reflects something pretty terrible back at you. Like with the One Ring and Lord of the Rings, I do not like to destroy things. I get it. I get it. And you're fine. I mean, well, it would be pretty funny if the players are like, well, I'm going to throw a brick through the mirror. And it's like, no, it bounces right off of it. And they're like, what? How? And, well, it's the day of the mirrors. You can't destroy them, at least today. At least for 24 hours, you're going to have to suffer through whatever is reflected, you know? Maybe there are, I don't know, elders of the city that bow before the mirrors, and what their experiences or what have you are reflected in the mirror that the rest of the population have to deal with before. Or we talked about death rites. Maybe somebody on their deathbed or something. They sacrifice themselves of sorts. Everyone knows it's a one-way portal. You go into the mirror. They don't realize, or maybe they do realize, or they've mistaken, or whatever the case might be. Hey, before you pass away, I'm going to walk into the mirror, and something steps back out the mirror as they step into it to replace them, and whatever replaces them lives in the community, which is why when the PCs come into the city state, they're like, why are there all these things we would normally murder kill walking around the city? And like, oh, that's oh, that monster that replaced Aunt so and so. Oh, and that replaced Uncle so and so back like 3 years ago, and that was like 5 turns of the world. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, they just live here. And the ones that step out are like, wow, this is bizarre, but okay. I guess we're exchange students. The End King says, Day of the Mirror, your intent is reflected. So intending to destroy, nothing gets done and everything attacks you. Try to love and accept the mirror. So, ooh, all your not what your actions are, but what your intentions were, like petty jealousies and things. Even good characters probably are just like, they have jealousies, they have envy. Sometimes they want to beat ass, but they can't because their goodness inside of them is like, no, no, no. I know I want to punch that person in the throat, but I'm not going to do it. And then all of a sudden, they're just like, they I don't know, something steps out the mirror and throat punches their adversary, and they're like, I didn't mean to do that. And the person's like trying to catch their breath. They're like, yeah, you meant to do that. And the thing that steps out was like, yeah, you kind of did. Yeah, you kind of you asked me to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Which would be pretty interesting to have, like what's the monster? The Invisible Stalker is a classic Dungeons and Dragons fantasy monster that is summoned, an air elemental, invisible, summoned by a wizard to perform some kind of act. But what if someone looks in a mirror that summons a thing that, or maybe in a duplicate of themselves, that acts on their intentions, even though that person would never have acted on those things in the first place. But on this Day of the Mirror, they get to sit back and have the thing do the thing that they were always scared to do. And so the PCs are running around the countryside like, uh-oh, what were you thinking? And you're like, I hated the people on the other side of the valley because they stole my stuff, or they embarrassed me. And all of a sudden you're like, did you just send a hill giant to them? Maybe. I don't know. I just looked in the mirror and asked it to do it. Yeah, so my self-hatred will make me love myself on that day. Uh I Maybe it's replaced. Maybe your self-hatred goes in the mirror and your self-love comes back out. I would like to see that. I'll be your reflection. Although that can come across a little bit, it sounds a little bit nasty. Yeah, I guess I meant it. No, but in all honesty, maybe that is a thing, right? Like, I wouldn't, but if you have maturity at your table, and you want to deal with adult themes like psychological issues and things like that, maybe temporarily there's an exchange of sorts. The opposite of the thing comes through from the other side to here, and here to the other side. Yeah, why not? Yeah, I, why not have that thing? Or as was brought up in the beginning of the episode, you know, monsters, in many ways, mythologically, monsters are a dark reflection of our own fears and things like that. Maybe that's where they come from. Like, how the hell are the monsters getting into the city state? And they're like, oh no, we don't close the gates against the things on the outside. We're closing the gates to keep all the stuff on the inside. Yeah, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. That's a throwback to a line from The Watchmen, but yeah, it from Rorschach himself, right? Like, maybe it's not going. Maybe the dungeon isn't going out to explore the outside world. Maybe the dungeon is inside, and the people, even though these things might be ravaging the city on this particular day, it's possible that on this particular day, that everyone tolerate. Like, I know we're probably going to get murder killed, but hey, this is our tradition. This is what we do. We look in the mirror, and or maybe certain only people do it, or whatever the case might be, right? We look in the mirror, and then we suffer the consequences of the thing that's reflected back at us. Which may be why maybe the player characters kind of don't like the city, because they're all trying to be goody goody two shoes to everyone, and they're just like, stop. You're like Disney World. Everyone's smiling, these plastic smiles in their faces and being overly nice, but it's like everyone's trying to like. No one wants to harbor the. Everyone's like maybe very honest about things, maybe overly sharing, and the PC's like, get away from me, stop. And it's like, well, maybe they're doing that because they know, hey, next year we're gonna have to look in the mirror and see what the hell happens. And if they escape over the city state walls, they get out there in the real world with our secrets. They're holding our secrets. That demon knows all of my secrets, the things that I've thought and wanted. Maybe the monsters again, instead of world domination, flesh eating, maybe the monsters are literally going around trying to perform the actions that the monster who's connected to them wants to do. Like a demon wants to take their rival merchant, drag them through the streets, and just give them a wedgie in the middle of the street, right? Maybe the demon, all they want to do is throw over the cart of produce, because the NPC that created them is like, the demon's like, oh no, I don't want to kill you, but I'm gonna knock over your apple cart every day you come here. And the merchant's like, damn you, demon. Demon's like, ha ha ha, tumble. Next day they do the same thing. Yeah. Marco says, in Japanese myth, the sun goddess Amaterasu once hid in a cave. The other gods gathered outside and started um, shouting that they were seeing the most beautiful woman. She was lured out, but upon coming out, she instead saw a mirror everyone prepared. Day of the Mirror could be a day for self-care, or to gift a mirror to someone to remind them to look after themselves. I love ending it on that, because all of the, yes, this is fantasy troping. Yes, this day of series is about engaging our players. Yes, but maybe all these things don't have to be dark and dangerous and bloodthirsty. Maybe um, the idea is the player characters are going around and using the mirror to help those who are maybe suffering. And you know, in a very strange way, maybe there's a faction that doesn't want the PCs to do it, and the PCs are like, no, 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 no. Oh no, we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to care for the people around us. I love that idea. Maybe at the end of the day, instead of magic and treasure and stuff, the end of the day is to take the mirror and just let people see that, show people what we see. That there's a like a funny short or TikTok I saw where a guy's like trying to uh, get a girl's phone number. He's trying to seduce her, and he's like, "Oh man, you look just like my girlfriend." And he holds up the phone, and of course she sees herself in the phone in a selfie, and she gets the joke. And it's like, maybe it's like, "Oh, I was looking for my best friend," and he's like, I have a portrait of my best friend," and he turned the mirror around to them and like, "Oh, I appreciate that so much." You're like, yeah, there's this beautiful, wonderful person that we really appreciate, and I think you should see who they are. So I like that a lot. So guys, we're going to end it on that one. Very, very beautiful. I love that concept. Please, if you've gone this far, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification, whatever. Do all the calls to action. I don't remember all of them because I'm pretty terrible at this kind of thing. But I know you guys are better at it as well. So guys, have a great one. Thank you for spending your time here. Your time is very valuable. So I appreciate you dropping your a creative coinage here. So guys, all of you um uh community creative and kind folks, have a great day. I will see thee tomorrow. Peace.